Call the meeting to order. Will the township clerk please read the statement,
Yes.
meeting statement?
Yes. Adequate notice of this meeting was within the press on January 14th and January 18th, 2022, and was posted at the municipal building in Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-7.
Thank you. Can we have a roll call, please?
Yes. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Here.
Councilmember Lynch,
Here.
Councilmember Shortway, Council President Rizzuto.
Here. Would you please join in, rise with me and join in a salute to our flag? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We have a roll call, so may we have reading of the proclamation?
Of this adequate needs with the statement.
Yes, the statement,
I should do that.
we did that.
The volunteer.
Nope.
That's it.
This evening, we're celebrating a designation of April as a National Volunteer Month. And a resolution that will be signed by our mayor and myself proclaiming April as National Volunteer Month will be read into the record. Want to do this?
Yeah, so,
Okay, I'll
sure.
do the other one.
Okay, yep. Designation as April as National Volunteer Month. Whereas volunteers are an integral part of communities throughout this country, and Vernon Township is well known for its spectacular volunteer spirit, a large measure of Vernon's strength, beauty, and unique character is derived from the outstanding contributions made by thousands of residents who volunteer in every facet of everyday life and play a vital role in many organizations and groups. And whereas residents who volunteer their time provide assistance which cannot be measured in terms of dollars, volunteers provide a spirit of helping that multiplies in value when each resident reaches out to assist another, discovering their power to make a difference. And whereas volunteers throughout the township of Vernon donate their time to a wide variety of programs such as the arts and recreation, youth athletic leagues, and through their service on multiple township boards, committees, and commissions. And whereas volunteers provide vital emergency services through the all-volunteer emergency medical service department, fire department, auxiliary, and emergency management. And whereas April is a month for volunteers with the occurrences of National Service Recognition Day, Earth Day, and United Way's National Volunteer Month. And whereas during this month, all over the nation, service projects will be performed and volunteers recognized for their commitment to serve. And whereas the Vernon Township Council and the mayor extend their deepest gratitude to the fine men and women who generously donate their time to the community. And whereas Vernon Township, New Jersey recognizes the benefits derived from volunteers and encourages fellow citizens to volunteer in their community. By volunteering and recognizing those who serve, we can come together and make a difference. Now therefore be it resolved by the Vernon Township Council that April is recognized as National Volunteer Month in Vernon Township, New Jersey.
Thank you. May I have a motion to bring this forward?
I make that motion.
Moved by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Mrs. Bucieri. May we have a roll call vote, please?
President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Absolutely, yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Absolutely, yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Carries.
Mayor, here's Copy if you'd like.
Thank you.
Sign with yourself, okay? This evening, I'm extremely pleased to have with us a young man who has really risen to the top. We have a young man who is graduating from Vernon High School this June, and he was industrious enough, smart enough, intelligent enough, hardworking enough, persevering enough to have received an appointment both to West Point and to the United States Air Force Academy. His name is Christian Ventimiglia, and he is here with his parents. May I ask Christian to please stand up? And please, please introduce us to your parents. Okay. Remain standing for a little bit. We have a little recognition we'd like to
Get used to it.
they mention in your favor. The Township Council of Vernon would like to recognize Mr. Christian Ventimiglia for his outstanding academic achievement. Christian is a student at Vernon Township High School who will be graduating this June. Recently, Christian learned that he received an appointment to the Air Force Academy in Colorado Springs, Colorado, and he is to report to basic cadet training on June 23rd for 6 weeks of training. By excelling in a battery of physicals, tests, essays, and interviews, Christian received 2 nominations, one from Congressman Josh Gottheimer for West Point and one from Senator Bob Menendez for the Air Force Academy. He knew he had qualified academically for West Point back in September, but he had no idea where he stood with the Air Force until last week when his appointment came through. Christian is following in his grandfather and great-grandfather's footsteps, both of whom served in the United States Air Force. Christian has dreamed of becoming a pilot, but some other options that appeal to him as career paths within the Air Force include intelligence work. He will major in aeronautical engineering at the academy, and during his 4 years of study, we'll see where his interests take him. The Township Council of Vernon would like to congratulate Christian and his family and share with them in the pride that they have in this gifted young man and future officer. We would also like to thank Christian for his commitment in the service to our country and wish him the very best as he pursues his lifelong dream. God bless you, Christian, and stay safe. I'm proud to say that I belong to an Air Force family. I haven't served. My sister married a pilot. His father happened to be a 4-star general, and he ran North American Air Defense Command, you know, where War Games was filmed. My son is a retired lieutenant colonel from the United States Air Force. He was commandant of all cadets in the New York, New Jersey, and Pennsylvania area for ROTC. And I'm proud to say that I've been to a number of Air Force dinners. And you can always tell it's an Air Force dinner because they're all going like this. You know? And I think you'll enjoy it. Give it your all, as I'm sure you have, and please don't hesitate to come back to us and let us know how things are going. Mrs. Bucieri, as Vice President, do you have any comments?
Just very, very happy to see one of our students. I always have a fondness for our schools and our students. So very happy to see one of our students just have such a great honor to be accepted to not only one, but 2 academies. And just a really proud moment for our town. So I wish you the best of luck.
Mr. Lynch?
We're so very proud of you. It's just amazing that Vernon Township has the ability to have the student that is accepted in both, military academies. It's incredible. And how appropriate is it that this is National Volunteer Month, because the service is actually volunteer.
Exactly.
And you don't have to do it, but you are doing it. And you're going to keep this country safe, and you're going to help us, aren't you? Yeah, I bet you are. Thank you so
Thank
much
you.
for what you do.
Mr. Fury, do you have any comments from the clouds?
Yeah, from the cloud. Listen, I just wanted to say how impressed I am. Vernon's very proud of you. We wish you the best of luck. I think you picked the Air Force is a great selection. And, like everyone says, please come back and update us on your progress. Please keep us safe and good luck.
Thank you. Thank you. Mr. Ventimiglia, would you please come forward? Here's certificate of recognition.
Achievement right there.
There are 2 who are not here, so you'll give it back to us after the meeting. Then we can have our 2 missing council members. The mayor has also signed this. I'm sorry, Mayor, I'm going to ask you for your comments after,
Okay, thank you.
because Mayor is a retired Air Force major.
Yes.
So I'll stand over here. Congratulations.
Karen, I think Karen wants to.
We have to celebrate too.
Oh, yeah, the school system.
Thank you so much. I'll make sure Mom and Dad get this as well, so. Thank you.
Mayor, perhaps you'd have some comments as a words of advice for a brand new, soon-to-be second lieutenant.
Not so much words of advice, Mr. Council President, but like the others, I want to express my pride. I'm on the committee, Congressman Geithammer's committee to select academy nominees. And I know how extremely competitive it is, very much so. And I'm so pleased to see that while you got 2 nominations, you chose the right one. That's the air. Absolutely. I'm extremely proud of you. Thank you so very, very much. And you couldn't have chose a better service. I believe you couldn't have chose a better service. And congratulations.
Thank you. This evening, we are also pleased and proud to have with us our Superintendent of Schools, Karen Divino. Ms. Divino, would you please come forward? I didn't forget you, but just didn't see you.
Oh, okay.
Perhaps you'd like to say a few words about your star-spangled student.
That's very nice. I really appreciate that. The Vernon Township School District is incredibly proud of all of our scholars, athletes, artists. I think we do a fine job in the district, but Christian is really the picture of a well-rounded young man. I've had the opportunity to get to know him a little bit, and I'll have the chance to get to know him a little bit more. I do, Dr. McKay, who's retiring this year, does podcasts to celebrate what happens in our schools, and I do a superintendent spotlight, and we're trying to schedule one for Christian so we can push it out to everybody so that the town can learn a little bit more about what a fine, upstanding young man he's been in the Vernon Township School District, and what he will do as he continues in with the Air Force. So we couldn't be more proud of him. He really is just a model, not just to our community, but to all of the students who are going to come after you, right? for me, it's really important that the students at the middle school and even younger are seeing that our students at Vernon High School are committed to volunteerism and committed to military. I think it's super important to make sure that we stay safe and free and all the wonderful things that we have in this country. So thank you for allowing me the opportunity.
Our pleasure.
And thank you so much for congratulations.
This evening, we are also pleased to have with us members of our Board of Recreation. And they're going to be making a presentation. If you please come up and to the podium and tell us a little bit about what's going on. Thank you.
Could we get the lights cut off a little bit so we can see that a little better? Is there a way we could do that? Chuck?
So we've compiled a very short.
Can you please just announce your name?
Yes.
I'm Denise Urbaniak, chairperson of the Board of Recreation.
And can you speak up, please? Because we got a little bit of competition. with-
My name is Denise Urbaniak. I am the chairperson of the Board of Recreation. Also with us tonight is Heather LaVance, Carolyn Case, Joyce Bredsinger, Ebony Erickson, I knew it started with E, and Tammy Peel. And our co-workers, I'm gonna say co-workers because we work together, Michelle Daltain and Meg Warner. So what we've prepared is a very short PowerPoint presentation. We did this about 4 years ago, and there's been turnover in council members, the mayor, and we just really would like to highlight everything that we do as volunteers for the town. We have a fabulous group of women that work together, and every year we bring new and fresh ideas, we revamp, we regroup. And recently we held an open house. Unfortunately, not a lot of people were able to make it. And we wanted to open up ourselves and what we do and give the town and people in the town a chance to come and find out what we're about, ask any questions that they have. And we prefer to do that, in person. So, anybody have anything to add? Okay, Meg, you want to start us off? So we do have a few things that we do and so far on an annual basis, and we've been able to add and take when something's not working. Can we go back to the vote? We'll just very briefly go over. That was my bad. Never mind. So really, our whole goal is really to promote Vernon, our town, what all we have to offer. We create no-cost programs. We do have some programs that you have to register for and pay, and all that registration money goes towards covering the cost of the event. And really, our goal is just to shine a spotlight on Vernon and expose parts of Vernon and what it has to offer that people may not normally see on a day-to-day basis or when they first move here. And I'm sorry, Ebony, I'm going to use you as an example. So as an example, we have Ebony Erickson here, who was new to town. She knew about the sports leagues and things that we had to offer, but through talking with a coworker, she kept finding out all these other things that are happening. And once she found out, she wanted to get on board. She wanted to get involved and help get the word out there and get more people involved in these town activities. So usually each year we kick the year off with our snowshoe 5K. And yes, people wear snowshoes, and yes, some of them show up and run. They become very competitive with it. And we are very pleased that for the past several years, Mountain Creek has partnered with us and bent over backwards to host our event. They give every participant the cost of the lift ride up, and they donate their ski patrol's time to mark the course to make sure everybody's staying safe. And we have people actually that aren't part of rec board come out year after year to volunteer for this event because it's such a high energy. We have someone that shows up in full Viking garb and entertains everybody at the top of the mountain before the race. So it's really and people that are at the resort and seeing this going on, they're astounded. They can feel the vibe, and they all love our Viking hats that we wear. So this year we introduced an East Bike Trail at Maple Grange Park, and it was a huge success. We started off with one session. We had to add 2 more sessions because so many people signed up for it. And because it was an inaugural event, of course, we learned some things. After each event, this is just a good example. After each event, we regroup, we talk about what worked, what didn't work, and how we can make it better and bigger if it needs to be. And then we have something. Oh, and this starts this week. Hopefully no rain tomorrow. We had to take a couple-year hiatus on this because of COVID restrictions, but 4 years ago, we started a hiking program because we just really felt that there were people in the town that wanted to hike, but A, didn't know where to go, B, thought they weren't able to do it, or C, didn't know who to go with. And when we started this program, I said to Michelle, if 10 people show up tonight, I'm gonna feel good. And that first night, we had almost 70 people. So it just took off, and even during COVID, we tried to keep some smaller outdoor, socially distanced activities to keep it going, and we encouraged people to get out on their own and provided them with information about trails within Vernon. So it's just been a really great program, and people who never thought they could do it have been able to come out and join us. This year, we're focusing on the little hidden gems in Vernon. So we're going to be taking hikes to places that have some historical significance and places that people don't really know are even in Vernon. Coming up in May, we're going to have a plant swap where people can come and trade all their little seedlings that they've started or swap perennials and all over the garden. We started it last year, started slow, but as we find with most of our programs, they start slow and every year they build. And we happy that the Memorial Day Parade is back on this year. We will be helping the VFW by handing out flags along the route to parade people there to watch the parade and have them so they can wave the flags and encourage the people along the route. Vernon Day is something that we have participated with. Although the PAL organizes the day, Rec Board is heavily involved with the volunteer hours, the planning, set up, breakdown that day. And Trails of Vernon Challenge, this is something that people do on their own and then report back. And we just ask them to get out, hit the trails, get some fresh air. And sidewalk talk. This is just every year it grows, it becomes more and more fun. So we, at Maple Grange Park, on the sidewalk, we section off 6-foot sections and let the kids go to town. Even some adults have been getting involved, and every year it's just people get more and more into it. We had a young boy who was I remembered him from the prior year, and the next year he came and he had such a vivid imagination. And the next year he came back and he was so excited. He's telling us about what he's going to do. And even though this is an individual event where they can compete for prizes, this boy was so excited, and he got the next boy next to him. They became just fast friends, and they ended up joining their group. They're like, you know what? We're just going to do one big one of the town of Vernon. And they just joined forces. And that was like the highlight of that for me. The Makers Market, several attempts at making a farmer's market work. And we tweaked, we adjusted, we pivoted, and for whatever reason, just wasn't working. So We've regrouped, revamped, and renamed it to the Makers Market, and we'll be having that June through October at Heaven Hill Farm. In the past, we have provided 2 to 3 movie nights in conjunction with the VTPA grant from there. So we don't have the dates yet, but we will be having over the summer 2 family-friendly movie nights where it's outside. We have food vendors come, people bring blankets, chairs, whatever they need, and it's been a huge, very popular, huge success. We work with Michelle every year on planning a presentation about Vernon that is presented at Sussex and promoting all the things that Vernon has to offer. Trick or Trail. This is one of those examples where we had to regroup and reimagine something. So for years, in conjunction with PAL, we did a trunk or treat at Maple Grange Park, and we found it was getting a little stale. And then, of course, COVID. So COVID, we decided we could still have an outdoor event and just have it spaced and control the crowds. So we decided to put trick or treat stations along the trail. And again, it went over so huge. We had 3 sold, fully registered time slots, and we did it again this year, and each year it just gets better and better. Holiday market, again, we partner with Mountain Creek, and typically we do that the Saturday prior to Thanksgiving. We have our vendors from the farmers market, the makers market. We reach out to vendors outside the community. They set up all through Cobblestone Village, and it truly has like a seasonal, winter seasonal feel, and the vendors there do phenomenal. People start their Christmas shopping. And again, it's just another way to partner with Mountain Creek and get people from outside of Vernon and showcase what all we have. And one of our longest running programs is a 5K walk. We all get Thursday morning, Thanksgiving morning, we get up early. We get out there, we get this organized and let people do their fun run and then go home. What's really unique about this is that it's also a community outreach program, and that whatever money we make from the registrations and all, we are able to donate to Harvest House and Sussex. About this past year was $3,500 that we donate directly to Harvest House. And also we asked the participants to bring a non-perishable food item that day. So we are stocking them both financially and with food product. And the last thing we do during the year is we again assist the PAL with the tree lighting, the annual tree lighting at the firehouse. So we do have some events coming up that we're going to try and fit in as Operation Toy Train. We come out, we participate, and we try to organize the gifts and all. We do have some upcoming events. It's a really hectic year for us. We're all working people. We volunteer in the evenings, on the weekends. So even though we have so many ideas, it's limited in manpower. We do have a summer fitness program that will be starting this summer. We're hoping to do a butterfly release and do that in conjunction of honoring something or someone. And then just an all-around fun family day is hike, bike, and fight, where we try to set up in one area where people can participate in all those events. So if anybody ever has any questions, comments, suggestions, we welcome those. We prefer that it goes through the proper channels. If somebody needs to contact Michelle during business hours, that's fabulous. But we're open, we're honest, we're pretty transparent, and we just really encourage all of you to come to one of these events. Come out and see what we do. I mean, when you come, it's infectious. It's just to see the town people there and how much they enjoy it.
Thank you very much. It's very informative.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have a discussion item.
You hit the lights. Somebody.
Those lights.
Thank you. Very informative. I've asked the mayor to place on the agenda, or we've placed it on the agenda, and to be aware of it, a discussion item on cell phone reception. I think I'm not probably the only one who has noticed that over the last 3-4 years, that the number of drop calls, dead zones, rather than decreasing, has seemed to increase. And I shake my head because having traveled in a number of countries, you can go from one end of these countries to the other and never drop a call. And here we are, right, 50 miles from New York City with towers that are all around us, and we can't seem to hang on to them. I've asked the mayor if he would consider taking a look at this and contacting either representatives that he is aware of from Verizon or T-Mobile. My experience has been only with Verizon. I don't know if council members, if you'd like to comment on it and give us yours, and perhaps we can see if there's something that we can move along here so that over a period of time, we can try and get back to where we were 2 or 3 years ago. Mrs. Bucieri?
Yeah, it's definitely an issue that, I've noticed myself. And there is, there's always talk about different cell towers not working or potential of a new cell tower. So I don't know, how true that is. But I think if we had a contact with a cell provider that we could advocate for our town's benefit, that would be great. I don't know if that's something we can do, what kind of leverage we have, with the utility like that, Mayor, but I think it's definitely worth, we have relationships with our, electric utilities, right, and landline. I'm sure we communicate with them as a township. I don't know if this is even a possibility or in the realm of possibility, but I think it's definitely something worth looking into if you have the time and advocating, for the residents. And Verizon seems to be it, although it's not anymore, right? Like if you had T-Mobile, it was crappy. If you had AT&T, it was crappy, but now it seems like it's all crappy.
Mr. Lynch?
I not only see the issue with Verizon and the cell phone, but also cable in the town. So I think a communications discussion is well worth the effort. I don't know about any of you, but I've seen many people complaining about Optimum and how they're always getting dropped and their cable is always out. So let's take a look at that.
Mr. Fury?
Yeah, I think we owe it to the residents and all the commercial business owners in town to at least try to reach out from the mayor's office and try to get some feedback on, what these companies are planning to do to make the service better. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. My experience with Optimum is when you get to the right people and talk to the right people, they do want to help you out. It was not the easiest thing to do, but I think if the mayor talks to the right people and get some feedback, I think that's good that we can hopefully get some positive feedback and bring it back to the residents and improve the whole thing. I do know there's a lot of infrastructure money coming out from the federal government down to the states, and hopefully that money gets into the rural areas to help these companies get better reception and more towers. So any kind of feedback in that regard would be positive.
So excuse me 1 second. Marcy, are you trying to make him louder?
I am.
Okay, I saw the mouse going. I'm like, no, I was gonna say it's hard to hear Mike.
Yeah.
Oh, I apologize. I'm sorry. I'll get closer to my
Sit a little
microphone.
closer to your mic maybe, or?
Yeah, I'll get closer to the mic. Yeah, please, yeah, if we can look into it and get some positive feedback, I think, and bring it back to the public would be helpful.
Thank you. Certainly, if anybody here in the audience has any contacts, or if you'd like to express your position, certainly a letter or somebody signing a petition in that regard would probably be very helpful. Thank you. Mayor, may we have your comments?
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Council Member and other council members. My comments tonight will cover 3 issues. The first issue relates to the fact that, as has been verbalized by several council members and the proclamation read by our Council Vice President, excuse me, that April is National Volunteer Month. And I do not want this month to pass without me making a personal expression of how much our town appreciates, how much our town values, and how much our town benefits from the time, from the energy, the effort, and the commitment of our vast team of volunteers. As I've said before, our town and its taxpayers could never afford to pay individuals to do the many, many things that volunteers do every day to make our town an even better place to live and to raise a family. With this being National Volunteer Month, I was very pleased that on tonight, we had the honor of hearing a presentation from one of our town's premier volunteer organizations, that being the Vernon Board of Education, excuse me, the Vernon Board of Recreation. I observed firsthand and participated in many of the activities that the Vernon Board of Recreation provided our town in 2021, and look with eagerness to do whatever I can to support their efforts during 2022. I also use this opportunity to acknowledge the contributions just last week of a group of volunteers from one of our town's churches, the Glenwood Baptist Church. The Glenwood Baptist Church blessed our senior center with 15 beautiful leather chairs to be used in the lounge area by our seniors while socializing and engaging in enrichment activities. In addition, they donated new equipment for the Maple Grange Park Snack Bar. This contribution supports the town's ongoing efforts to make Maple Grange Park an even more usable facility to be enjoyed by our community. Members of the Glenwood Baptist Church will also be volunteering their time and efforts to help with the installation of this new equipment. It is said that the heart of a volunteer is not measured by the physical size of the heart, but in the depth of the volunteer's commitment to make a difference in the lives of others. Our volunteers, in fact, are shining examples of that statement. The second issue that I comment on relates to the fact that this past Friday, April the 22nd, was World Earth Day. And I want to thank another group of volunteers for ensuring that Vernon Township offered an organized municipal opportunity for our residents to participate in and contribute to the observance of this important day. This group of volunteers, consisting of the Board of Recreation, the Vernon Girl Scouts, Cub Scouts, and Boy Scouts, plus the Environmental Commission, came together and enabled Vernon Township to join with 134 other New Jersey municipalities in a strategic positive action that contributes to the maintenance and the improvement of the environment that the Creator has blessed us with on this planet. The action of which I speak was part of a worldwide effort to help in the reforestation of our planet. And Vernon Township made its contribution through this group of volunteers as they gave away 500 tree samplings this past week at Heaven Hill Farm. Since the beginning of the 20th century, the world's forests have lost about 20% of their coverage. According to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, approximately 18 million acres of world's forests are lost every year, and roughly half of the Earth's tropical forests have already been cleared. The organization Earth.org recognizes the planting of billions of trees across the world as one of the biggest and cheapest ways of taking CO2 out of the atmosphere and to tackle the climate crisis. Not only do forests act as climate sinks, but they also provide vital habitat for animals and ecological services for humans, such as purifying the air that we breathe and regulating our local temperature. Responsible reforestation programs can also stabilize land from erosion or natural disaster. It can provide soil health and groundwater recharge and can provide for economic development. Reforestation is one of the most important and accessible ways that people can contribute to solving the challenges of climate change. And I'm pleased and proud that those volunteers enabled Vernon Township to play its part in this worldwide effort. The third and final issue on which I comment relates to the comments that I made at the last council meeting. At that meeting, I informed the council and the public of an error that my administration had made during our November 2021 sale of excess municipal property. This sale of excess municipal property was a part of our efforts to get vacant, not used municipal property back on the tax roll. I also stated that this error is something that I am neither proud of or pleased with. And because this error occurred on my watch as mayor, I accept the responsibility for it. During this sale, we erroneously sold a 0.18 of an acre parcel of municipal property that contained one of our municipality's 5 repeater devices that are used to extend the range and quality of our overall communications ability to various parts of our 70 square mile township. After I was informed of this error on March 31st, I spent 7 extended hour days conducting an investigation to determine 1, what happened, 2, the reasons that this error occurred, 3, the actions that I could take that would ensure that this kind of error does not occur in the future. On April the 7th, I provided the council a written summary report on my findings. I come in on this matter again tonight because I noticed that on tonight's agenda, the council plans to vote on resolution number 22-100, which would approve the spending of up to $10,000 for the council to conduct their own investigation to determine why this error occurred. As I have informed the council, while I believe that my detailed inquiry into this matter and the resulting report that I sent the council on April 7th addressed all of the pertinent factors that could contribute to determine what happened and the reason that this error occurred. Number 2, the actions that I've taken and will be taken to ensure that this kind of error does not occur in the future. And number 3, the actions that I have taken and will be taken to find an effective solution to this problem that it has created. While I believe that my detailed inquiry fully addressed these matters, I understand and respect the fact that under our form of government, the council has the right to conduct its own legislative inquiry or investigation into this matter. However, I do question the rationale and the economic wisdom of the council's plan to move forward with the action that's outlined in this resolution. I question the rationale of this resolution because I spent a considerable amount of time and effort conducting a detailed investigation of this matter. Number 2, I provided the council a summary of the results of my investigation. And number 3, even though the council have had a copy of the results of my investigation for the past almost 3 weeks, no council member has informed me that they believe that either my findings or my corrective plans of actions are unclear. So I don't understand why the council wants to spend up to $10,000 of taxpayers' funds to conduct the second investigation. I question the economic wisdom of this resolution because at a time when both the mayor and the council have focused a considerable amount of time and effort on reviewing in detail various line items of the 2022 municipal budget, with the specific objective of reducing this year's tax burden to the homeowners, the council could then turn around and freely spend up to $10,000 of taxpayers' funds to conduct the second investigation. Even though I question the rationale and the economic wisdom of the council conducting such an investigation, as I said, I understand and respect the fact that under our form of government, the council can conduct their own legislative inquiry or investigation into this matter. However, I also know and understand that simply because you can take a specific action does not mean that you should take that specific action. If the council passes the resolution number 22-100, after I receive the documents and information that's required as per this resolution, I will sign the required professional service agreement with the investigative firm that the council has chosen so that they can proceed with their investigation. Now, I will do this because I believe that the only way that this form of government works properly for Vernon residents is for the mayor and the council to respect each other's authority and to take an action even when they disagree with that action. And that's what I will do. Mr. Council President and council members and the public, that ends my formal comments tonight.
Thank you. I'd like to call for a recess.
I'll second that.
Oh,
Okay, motion's been made and seconded. May I have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes. Yes.
Council President Rizzuto,
Yes,
motion carries.
thank you.
Recess.
Be a 5-10-minute recess. Thank you. Going to ask for a motion, council, to open the floor for public comments.
We have Mike back.
Mike?
Yeah, I'm back.
Okay, just
thank you.
didn't see you. Make sure you're there, Mike.
May I have a motion to open the floor, for public comments?
We need a motion to go back into,
Yeah, we should.
Okay, a motion to go back in a
okay, I'll
second?
make a motion to go back into the meeting.
Okay, motion is made.
I'll second that.
Second by Mr. Lynch. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, motion is carried. Now may I have a motion to open the floor for public comment?
Make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll
I'll second it.
Second by Mrs. Bucieri.
I beat you, Mike.
All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Floor is open. Floor is open for comments on items on the agenda only. There is a sign-in sheet. We would ask for you to kind of jot your name down in the area of town from which in the area of town that you reside. And I'm going to ask you to please try and maintain a degree of civility in your comments. I understand how strongly many of you may feel about a particular issue or issues, but, making uncourteous or inappropriate comments doesn't really further the situation. So I would just ask that you keep that in mind as you comment. The floor is open if you have any comments. Is there anybody from, I'm sorry. Yes.
Good evening, Steve Dunlop, Williamsville Estates. Just a brief comment. Having been the managing director and vice president of Major Oil Company, I can assure you that had one of my employees disposed of property that was integral for the operation of my company, somebody would have lost their job. As my boss used to say, heads are going to roll. And if I had refused to do it, I'd probably been removed from my position. I've been in the parking lot with my stuff in the box. I just want to remind everyone, I know since the newspaper article didn't mention it, on Wednesday, October 20th, almost a month before the sale, Mr. Mike Emmerich sent a memo to the administrator and the emergency management, Mr. Charles Volker and Mr. Ken Clark, stating, I was looking at the list of properties that are up for auction. I see the town tower sites are listed on it. Does this mean we have to find new homes for the radio gear? On Mike Emmerich. I cannot imagine, and the priority was listed as high, subject, town land auction, importance high. I just can't imagine that something like this would go unnoticed or without action being taken. And it just shows once again that our town, I don't believe, is being managed very well. Two men that I feel are responsible for this. I don't think anyone's lost their job. I don't know if it's their intention for anyone to lose their job. But to me, it's unacceptable. I think a lot of people, it's unacceptable. That's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Walter Marsco, 41-year resident of Vernon.
Good evening.
Good evening. I have two items of concern. The first one is what the gentleman that just spoke said. The mayor, you did your own investigation in regards to this matter for the cell phone towers. How do you conduct your own investigation? As that gentleman said, there's an email out there. We all have the email. No surprise that Volker's involved in it. So I don't think you're capable of leading your own investigation. We'll leave that up to the council president to do a proper investigation, because we're sick and tired of the things that are going on here. Secondly, resolution 22-106, recognizing and authorizing the appointment of Robert Westenberger as the construction official for the township of Vernon. If anyone here thinks about appointing him, you're out of your mind. The guy is causing a lot of issues for this township. I think Mr. Zelinski knows rather well, because he's lied in a lot of emails in regards to it, so I'm sure he knows. He needs to go. He's bringing some major problems to this township, and you're all going to see it soon. So I don't even know why it's a question. The guy's a creep. I have pictures of him, pictures he's taken inside my bedroom window. That's proper, Mr. Zelinski? Because you know about it. I'll answer, it's not. And he's not going to get away with it. Nor is anyone that's involved with this entire matter, Mr. Mayor, the one who ignores all my emails, phone calls, certified letters. But you're leading your own investigation, right? You're credible. No, you're not. And it's a shame that Mr. Shortway's not here tonight, but we'll get to that later. That's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, please please step forward.
Good evening, my name is Ann Larson, I'm from the Glenwood section. It gives me no pleasure to say it, but I have to tell you, I can tell you in a nutshell what your investigation should show. Everybody thought somebody was gonna do it, so nobody did it. Nobody followed up, they ignored the email. And it starts in the tax department, it goes all over it. Everyone whose fingerprints are on it ought to be gone. I'm sorry, respectfully, I hate to say that, but we can't have people making mistakes like this, costing us money. Now we gotta buy property back, expense of selling and closing and buying. It's absurd, okay? And investigation, as Mr. Marcico mentioned, you can't run your own investigation, okay? Because you're not looking at what's really happening, unfortunately. The realistic view is that a lot of red flags were dropped, a lot of them, that is, and to say nothing of an email with high importance. We have to fix this. The town is having a lot of financial troubles. You hear nothing from our neighbors and our fellow taxpayers. One person on a meeting last week was stating he had to go to the food pantry 3 times a month because he was so short on money due to the tax increases and the MUA increases. We have to stop the bleeding. We can't be buying properties back that are sold for no reason. Respectfully, and I'm sorry if this sounds rude, but it's too much. It's just too much. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Or anyone else?
Good evening, council, Mr. Mayor. Rich Carson, Sussex. Again, one of the things that a town council is responsible for, and that includes everyone, is the important part of assuring that the government, which means the employees of the departments, are run efficiently, honestly, and with integrity. Now, a few minutes ago, we heard the words of Mr. Marsico, and when he's talking about the resolution to appoint the building inspector to a permanent post, this is just astounding. The reports, and I'm sure there's going to be other serious matters that are going to affect not just the town because of his performance, but him as well. To try or to put on a resolution that will grant him permanent status with all the benefits thereof, as Walter mentioned, is insanity. I can't imagine any other company or even a town, based on this particular person's record, even considering making his position permanent. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you.
Everybody, my name is Sean Clarkin. I live up in Barry Lakes, been there since 1995.
Here.
Corporate America.
Can you repeat your name, please? So people,
Sean Clarkin.
thank you.
I live up in Barry Lakes, been there since 1995. Corporate America, the world that makes money and generates business and profits, they don't hire employees. They give contracts. They award people contracts to work. And that's the direction we should be going. We don't need the health benefits. We don't need the retirement. We don't need the extra expense. We're stretched beyond our means already. So I'm sure, I don't know any of these individuals that you're considering, but if they're here working and they're doing a good job, give them an employment contract, extend it another year, okay? In reference to the mayor's comments, again, in corporate America, if you've got a headline, big mistake, huge problem, okay, that comes to all of our attention, there's hundreds of little mistakes being made every day that nobody notices, okay? The mayor, if you drop the ball on a big problem, I guarantee he's dropping the ball frequently that nobody notices. We're looking for a grant writer, right? Somebody to write grants, right? It's a big issue. The mayor has somebody he's directly responsible for, and on their resume, it says they're a grant writer. Have we asked this person to write grants? They work for the mayor. We've had discussions here in this room about hiring a grant writer. This person's been in the room for those conversations, and at no point do they say, hey, I'm a grant writer, I can help you do that, or I can help you hire somebody. These are management problems, all right? And not everybody on the planet is meant to be a manager. And I think that's our problem. We have people managing who shouldn't be managing. A career in the Air Force, a career before public service, that's all good, okay? I have an older brother. He was in the military for many, many years. He retired from the military. He's still the same knucklehead he was when he went into the military. It didn't do anything for him, okay? I don't know what the mayor's background is, okay? But retiring from the military isn't a badge of courage, all right? It means you coasted for 20 years, all right? This is not acceptable, and we have to act more like a business and a corporation. Thank you very much.
I think that I have to say something. I'm sorry.
I'm going to say it before you.
I disagree.
With the
It is a badge of courage.
with the individual that was here this evening and starting out on a career, I don't look at that as somebody who's coasting or even thinking of coasting.
As a
Mr.
mother
Lynch?
of a Marine, I don't think of that either.
My brother served in the Persian Gulf War, and he was a commander for a naval ship for 25 years, and he retired. He's no knucklehead, and he's my best friend, and he's a courageous human being.
The same as everybody.
Well,
My own brother came, went in a knucklehead and came out a knucklehead.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I want to ask you a question.
Can you please come to the podium, please?
Oh,
State your name.
I want to ask you a question. My name is Anita Ferraro. I've lived here for 10 years, but I thought half of this meeting was going to be for the MUA.
No.
No, this is the town council meeting.
We were misdirected. That's all I wanted to ask you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I do have, oh, sorry.
Okay,
I have some people on Zoom.
Zoom, okay.
I have Jesse Palladini.
Mrs. Palladini?
Good evening. I'm here tonight to talk about the Recreation Department. Had a nice
Can we
little,
have order, please?
they had a nice little presentation. I'm sure some of their members are doing a good job, but they did not address the deplorable and disgusting social media behavior of some of their members. They failed to mention what some of their volunteers and hired employees. Not one of you has addressed these deplorable social media posts, yet you felt it was necessary to sell the public tonight on how wonderful the Recreation Department is. The Recreation Department social.
Excuse me. We have order, please. Go ahead, Mrs. Palladini.
The Recreation Department's social media behavior includes harassment of residents, foul language, sexual perversion, threats by Meg Wannen's friend to pull out of recreation events if the Historical Society and I participate in them, child exploitation and child abuse with photographs of children, including their own grandchildren, in depraved videos, making foul gestures with the F word plastered all over them, racial epithets and slurs with the N word repeated over and over again, such as in the one that I sent to all of you today by email. These racial slurs with the use of the N word are just deplorable. Where is Carl Contino when you need him to complain about real racism? The EDAC asked you to adopt a social media policy because of what this has been doing to the town's image. There is not a town around us that does not have a social media policy, yet not one single one of you even says anything about this meeting after meeting, after I have personally sent you dozens of examples of this depraved and unprecedented behavior in our town. Mayor Burrell, you called upon Jerry Scanlon for his resignation and voted to remove him from his board seat for much, much less on social media, yet you refuse to do anything about the behavior on our town board and employees. Mayor Burrell, I call
25 seconds, please.
my last sentence, thank you. Mayor Burrell, I call upon you to ask for Stephanie Salingo's resignation for having part in this deplorable behavior, not to celebrate her and a department like this with a presentation to the public. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Palladini.
I have Peg DeStacy.
Ms. DeStacy.
Good evening, Peg DeStacy, 35-year resident in Glenwood. I want to, first of all, congratulate the young man for his appointment to the Air Force Academy. It's a wonderful thing. My brother just served 45 years in the Air Force, and it's a great lifestyle. Mayor, you've tried to throw the council under the bus tonight to distract from your own management errors. It just won't work. The council can and must get an independent evaluation of what happened. We trust them to be truthful and to have integrity. I did have a couple of questions on the bill list. And basically, there were monies dispersed, one for the legal fees for the Baldwin purchase and the other one to Spawn Ranch. And I would like at some point if somebody could give an explanation of both of those, where the money came from and what they're paying for. I do want to address the 22-100 resolution and state that I am 100% in support of an independent evaluation. And the last thing is that Chuck Volkner knows we are seeking a grant writer. He stated on his employment application that he is a grant writer. So my question is, why has he not stepped forward and offered this service under his employment contract to our town to help us achieve the financial aid that we could be getting for many things in this town? I just recently forwarded information about there is $10 million grant available for lake communities for support of their infrastructure as well as fighting algae. The application for those grants has to be in by the end of May. And my question is, has the mayor and Chuck looked at this and pursued any type of application? I do have a question as to that maybe they won't qualify because I think most of our lakes are not public, but it's still worth looking into if there's money there to be obtained. Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Ms. DeStacy.
You're welcome.
Is there anyone else?
Yes, Tom McClackery.
Mr. McClackery?
All right. Yes, good evening. I'm a resident of a couple of months now, and I would like to say a couple of quick comments. 22-100. The mayor convinced me tonight that, hey, you guys really should have an investigation. We went through this the last meeting. Nobody really wants to name who Corporal Agar is, but I think we should, because it really is funny. Having said that, move on to the municipal budget, and I'm against it because it has a 3.5% increase in the cap bank, and I'm against that. And the third issue would be, you're giving all these people head bottle washer and cook titles, whichever, really doesn't matter. I'm just wondering why you do not include the salary, and that's public knowledge, whether that's an increase because they're now the head cook bottle washer or it's not, and what the salary is, just so the public can get an idea whether you're putting a bonnet on a donkey or it's just a donkey. And that's me. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I have Sean Mazar.
Mr. Mazar?
Good evening.
Good evening.
I just got to touch on a couple things. I recently was notified that there were some vacant and abandoned property fees that were refunded to an attorney. And I have a question about that. Are you starting to refund vacant abandoned property fees that were wrongfully assessed? And my other statement tonight is regarding the appointment of Bob Westenberger as code official. I've had some experience with Bob, and some have been good, some have been bad. Basically, I was on a project, I was forced to put in a backflow preventer and was given an erroneous code reference in which I spoke to DCA, and DCA informed me to have Mr. Westenberger call them to speak to them about it, and he blatantly refused and basically said to me that I'm the boss in this town, I make the rules, and either you're going to follow my rules or you're no longer going to get any inspections, and you're not going to get your CO. Now, that type of behavior is not professional. I'm a licensed architect. I'm a professional planner in training, and I'm also soon to be multiple code official. So, you're going to appoint this gentleman. He needs to understand that, he works for the township. It's not a one-man show. He's not the ultimate ruler here. And the last thing I wanted to talk about is Mayor Burrell and his and this email is that was sent to Chuck Volker about this property with the radio tower is just ridiculous. I mean, it was completely avoided. I mean, Chuck, how could you sit there? I mean, you should just resign. I mean, this is incompetence at its at an utmost level. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
I don't have any other hands up.
Okay. Seeing no one else, may I have a motion?
I'll make that motion.
Motion is made by Mr. Lynch to close the floor to the public. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Fury. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes. The bills list has been distributed to all members of the council. Do you have any questions for our administration? Perhaps you might want to use this opportunity now.
I did have a question about Swan Ranch. Let's see, let me look it up.
57550.
Oh, okay, everybody knows what I'm gonna talk about then. What's that?
They're in alphabetical.
Okay. Yes, I see it, okay. It's the 38,974. On this, it's check number 57,550.
That has to do with the contract with Swan Ranch and in the increments that they're supposed to be paid over the course of the contract.
Okay. The reason why I'm asking is that the town is, like you said to Pat and I at a meeting, that the town has to get rid of all the tree stumps and all the brush down there. And that's not part of Spawn Ranch's job to get rid of that, because they're not allowed to get rid of it. Only we are allowed to get rid of it.
That was not in their contract.
Actually, the comment that was made,
Okay,
Mr. Lynch and I were there, was I asked if what the DPW was doing was preparing to break through that berm to the other side. And we were told by both Mayor and yourself that the DPW was down there to remove brush and fallen trees and stumps as required by the DEP. Subsequent to that, in this last 2 weeks, I've been down there a number of times. And all of the trees that were standing are now gone. They've been cut down, they've been chipped, pulled away, or segmented and pulled away. And it's been all been done by our DPW. at some point you progressed beyond what DEP required and you went to another phase. So my question now is, when we asked you about that then, why wasn't it explained to us at that time? And since you're doing this now, how much money is being spent by the DEP, I'm sorry, by the DPW for the removal of these trees and clearing of the berm that is not included in the original resolution for Spawn Ranch? Can either of you give me some approximation of how much is being spent?
Well, we did have to, well, we had to remove, as I explained to you that day, there were trees, stumps, et cetera, that had to be removed as ordered by the DEP.
Right.
As far as what we accumulated as a result of clearing the property for the pump track, there was some additional stumps that would be there. So we had to remove those as well.
Well,
But taking down the other trees was something that we thought was a wise thing to do because it had become a bit overgrown down there. So I don't know exactly how much time they spent on that, but I will find out for you and get back to you.
well, I know I was down there and at least 6 days, 6 times I visited there. And a berm that was pretty well forested, trees, shade trees. They looked like they were very healthy ash, are now no longer there. It's just a denuded area of property there. And my question is, did you know you were going to do that then when we had that discussion? And we were told that you were doing this per requirements of the DEP? Or did you all of a sudden have an epiphany at a later date saying that this was going to be required?
No, the removal of some of the trees down there was not required by the DEP.
Right.
That's,
Like an accounting of how many hours was spent on that?
is that what you told us that the DEP was the only one allowed to take that, the brush and the trees?
No, the DEP, we have to take it and we have to get rid of it. Whether we take it to SCUMA or we're able to find people. That's why we started putting some of the stumps and the logs and some of the chips over where we used to put mulch years ago, over on
The flats.
flats and everything,
Between
to allow people to
street.
take advantage of having cut wood to split if they chose to. But the DEP does not allow you to accumulate any agriculture, surprisingly enough. They want it removed as quickly as possible.
That's correct. And yet we exceeded what they required. We continued to make more debris, taking logs and trees down and logs away and chipping them, bringing our own equipment over there, having heavy equipment being handled by our own people. I counted at least 6 at one time. And I question whether or not the early part of the spring, if that was a wise use of labor when so many roads were now able to be, have potholes filled and maybe gravel picked up or catch basins repaired or cleaned. But, I don't run the township. We only ask questions. But I'm telling you, I think I have to ask more and more questions. Thank you. Does anybody else have any other?
I'm good.
I do have one more question.
Certainly.
Has Spone Ranch returned to do any work? Because it is April and I thought,
They are due to, they just dropped off a piece of equipment they'll be using on the pump track today. It was delivered.
They own their own equipment. We didn't rent.
No, not, it's a feature that they'll be using on the pump track
Oh,
for one of the curves.
okay. So equipment of the track, not a,
No, not a machine. They'll be bringing their own machines back eventually.
okay. And when are they due to arrive?
I'd have to check with the engineer on that.
Okay. I mean, if you could update us,
Sure.
I mean, it's not, but just shoot an email to let us know, because I believe it was April and we're, almost done with April now.
Looking at what is anticipated, I would expect that probably have a few more trees knocked down. Thank you. All right. We have a consent agenda. Resolution 2298. Resolution authorizing trade in certain equipment to offset cost of new equipment. 2299, resolution authorizing the award of contract to vendor with National Cooperative Contracts for Pochuck Valley Fire Company. Resolution 22100, resolution authorizing an agreement for professional services with Lavery, Salvaggi, and Abramitis and Cohen, legal services to perform an investigation. Resolution 22101, refund for totally disabled Vietnam veteran. Resolution 22-102, refund overpayment due to state tax court judgment, L&R equity, various block and lots. Resolution 22-103, refund overpayment due to state tax court judgment, L&R equity. Resolution 22-104, authorizing approval of Sussex County contribution to the Vernon and Glenwood Pochuck Volunteer Ambulance Squads. Resolution 22-105, authorizing the award of a required disclosure contract for professional legal services for sale of township property and in rem foreclosures. 22-106, resolution recognizing and authorizing the appointment of Robert Westenberger as construction official for a township of Vernon. 22-107, resolution recognizing and authorizing the appointment of Patrick Murphy as an inspector for electrical, fire, building, and subcode official for electric and fire. 22-108, resolution recognizing and authorizing appointment of Paul Black as an inspector for building, mechanical, plumbing, and subcode official for building. 22-109, resolution accepting bid of Campbell Supply Company for fire apparatus and ambulance repair bid 6R-2022. And that concludes the consent agenda. Is there anyone would like to have any of these separated from
Yes.
the total?
I have a question.
Question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Can we have the agenda placed on the floor for consideration?
Well, Pat,
Yes, I'm sorry, Mike, go ahead.
could we pull out resolution 22-100 and 22-106, 107, and 108?
I would like 109 pulled.
Okay, and we have a motion to put forth 22-98, 22-99, 22-101, 22-102, 22-103, 22-104, 22-105, for consideration.
I'll make a motion.
Motion is made by Mr. Fury. Is there
I'll
a
second
second?
it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. May we have, if there's no question or comment on these?
Yes, I am going to have to abstain from the first two, 2298 and 2299.
Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, please?
Yes. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch on all except 98 and 99.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Going in order, we have resolution 22, 106, 107, and 108. Mr. Lynch, I believe you asked that they be separated.
I actually did not. I think it was.
I did.
Councilmember-
Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, I was going to too, but I think Mike who did, I had a question. but
Okay.
Mike can go.
No, I don't have any questions. I just want them pulled and voted separately.
Okay, just since they are being separated and to correct maybe a misconception, there is no anything attached to these resolutions has to do with length or term of employment. It's simply a reaffirmation of the title as requested by the Department of Community Affairs. Am I correct in that?
Yes,
Yeah.
And the approval of these in no way constitutes approval of in any other fashion in terms of length of employment, quality of employment, or anything like that.
that's correct.
And this
Okay.
doesn't include extra duties or it's
No,
not a change in job performance. Okay, yeah.
All right, Mike, Mr. Fury, does that answer your question?
Yeah, yes, it does. Thank you.
All right,
Can we do all three together at the same time?
I would see no reason why not.
That's fine.
All right, then, may I have a motion to approve 22-106, 22-107, and 22-108?
I'll make a motion.
Total. Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second? Is there a second? I'll make the second. Roll call vote, please.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Abstain.
Councilmember Lynch,
Abstain.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes, the motion falls for lack of a majority.
Tie. Is that right?
2-2. To tie.
Don't forget about.
Number 22-109.
Yeah.
Not on this one. On this one.
It'll have to come up at a different meeting
Yeah, okay. That's,
unless we want to revisit this later on.
but since the DCA requires us to do it, I think. Yeah, I guess if we can bring it up again, when we have a larger number of members,
I'd like to make a motion that we bring this up at the next meeting.
Motion, no, we can do that as we develop the agenda. Thank you. Resolution 22-109, resolution accepting bid of Campbell Supply Company Incorporated for fire apparatus and ambulance repair bid. May I have a motion to place this on the floor for consideration?
I make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second
I'll
it.
Second by Mrs. Bucieri. Questions or comments?
Okay, we have currently this Campbell Supply is going to be doing all the service on all the fire trucks. Now, we have businesses in this town that are apparatus service companies, and was an RFP sent out to on-site services too, do you know?
I don't know whether it was specifically sent to them. It was publicized and it was something that they could have bid on it.
All right, because the reason being is I know that this company is either in Plainfield, New Jersey or Orange County, New York. And I believe that they're 40 miles away. And every time we gonna have a fire truck breaks down, we want to be able to get it fixed in as most in a quick fashion. And I know that onsite is from Vernon itself. And we've had him fixing our fire trucks before. I didn't know the only problem that we were having is the 45 days net or 60 days net that they were having, and he had out 15,000 or 20,000 in parts, and the town wasn't paying him. So are the fire departments happy with Campbell?
I've not heard any complaints.
Okay.
It's just that it, as you point out, takes a little longer. I don't know the company you're speaking of and whether they are certified to do certain parts of equipment on the fire trucks.
I know he does pump tests, so I don't think he does ladder testing. I think that's up to the company that'll do the hose testing. We have that with it, but all right, if the fire companies are happy with Campbell, then so be it. That's all I have.
Thank you. Public hearing was held a few weeks ago to,
We got to vote on this.
We got to
Oh.
vote on.
I'm sorry, thank you. I
And we
apologize.
never voted on 22-100.
And 100 too.
Yeah, we're gonna go back to 100.
That's right. Let's vote on 22-109. Motion has been made and seconded. All in favor? Signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion, let me have a roll call vote, please.
Okay. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes,
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
And finally, 22-100. Thank you. Or resolution authorizing an agreement for professional services with Lavery, Salvaggi, Abramitis, and Cohen. May I have a motion to place this on the floor?
Motion.
Motion made by Mrs. Bucieri. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Lynch. Any questions or comments on this? Now I'll ask for roll call vote.
Sure. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
yes,
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Now I think we can move to our budget. 2210, resolution to read the 2022 municipal budget by title only. May I have an motion to adopt the resolution 22?
Council President, I'll make that motion.
Motion is made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Fury. Prior to the public hearing. Okay. May I have a motion? Sorry, may I have a roll call vote, please?
Sure. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes,
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion to adopt resolution 22-10?
Make that motion.
Sorry, yes, 22-111.
111.
My apologies.
Okay.
Adoption of the 2022 municipal budget.
I'll make that motion, Council.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
Sorry, I have Donnell.
Yes,
I didn't know if she wanted to.
I didn't know she was here.
She just came on.
Okay.
I am. I don't know if you can you hear me?
Yes,
Yep, Donnell, we
Okay.
can't see you.
I don't know.
Okay, that's fine. Yeah, that's strange. You can't see me. Sorry I couldn't be there tonight, guys. I had a little bit of an emergency. I did not hear though, if you guys open to the public, did you open the public hearing portion?
on the resolution?
On the adoption of the budget.
I think it's
Correct. So we
We're
need to have
just
a public
adopting it
hearing.
now.
Right, so we need to open to the public for that.
Yes.
So, right, okay, great.
So may I have a motion to adopt resolution 22-111?
Council President, I'll make the motion to,
Motion is made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. May I have a motion to open the floor to the public regarding the
Motion.
adoption of this budget? Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mr. Fury. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The floor is now open for comments on this resolution and this resolution only. Is there anyone wishing to comment from the floor on the adoption of our budget? Is there anyone?
Yes, I have Jesse Palladini.
Mrs. Palladini?
I don't have a problem with the budget. I'm glad that it was an increase. But I would ask that next time around, you really scrutinize the line items a little bit closer, because when I read the entire budget line by line, I was very troubled to see certain items increased as much as they did, when we could have had even more of a decrease in the budget. And the other thing that's disheartening is that both Chuck Volker and Ken Clark get salary increases in this year's budget. So they made that huge blunder in November, but they're getting rewarded for it with salary increases in this budget. I would just ask that you scrutinize each line item. That's all. But I don't have an opposition to the budget. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Palladini. Is there anyone else?
Yes, I have Thomas McClackery.
Mr. McClackery? Your comments, please.
Yes, good evening. I'll be redundant again. I'm opposed to this budget. It includes a 3.5% increase in the bank. And that just gives you the option of increasing our taxes way more than you have to. And actually, since you're not increasing taxes, you have a 2.5% increase in the bank anyway. So why you're increasing it to 3.5%, I don't know. And that's my comments. The other thing I would have to say is typically you have to open up the ordinance. You don't have to open up the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
I don't have any other hands up.
Seeing no one else coming forward, may I have a motion to close the floor to the public?
I'll make that motion.
Motion made by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. Roll call vote, please.
Sure. Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
I'm very proud to say that this is going to be the fourth time that I voted on a budget where it was either no increase or there was a decrease. And I am so proud that we were able to give Vernon a zero increase budget for 2022. Yes.
Thank you.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes.
Motion carries.
May I have a motion? You have a motion to adopt the budget 2211. May I have a roll call vote if there are no comments from the council? Seeing no comments, may I have a roll call, please?
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Come on, bud.
Floor for public comment.
I'll make a motion.
Motion is made by
I'll second it.
Fury, seconded by Mr. Lynch. Roll call vote, please.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Member Lynch,
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
this portion of the meeting is on any item not necessarily confined to the agenda. So if you have any comments, please feel free to come forward.
Good evening. My name is Mark Bauer. I've been an owner in Vernon for about 30 years, part-time resident for 16, full-time resident now for 14 years. I submitted by email a volunteer application for the MUA. Has that been distributed?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I have
Thank you.
extra copies here if anyone needs. I came forward to introduce myself to you because I am serious about this. I have extensive experience in real estate management. I've been on the board of directors in an executive capacity, master counsel at Mountain Creek at Great Gorge Village, current vice president of the Wimbledon Section Council. I've been the vice president of both of the two mineral hotels condominium boards. In addition to that, I was president of the condominium board of my residence on the Upper West Side and in Lower Manhattan. And I've had extensive experience in real estate dealings and with respect to hotel boards here, with respect to the pump stations and the interaction between that and the Township Water Supply and Sewage. I believe I could be of great service to the MUA as a volunteer member. I'm delighted that much of this meeting dealt with volunteerism. And so I would like to self-nominate myself as a volunteer for that. And incidentally, I too was a second lieutenant through the ROTC some 50 years ago. If you could act favorably on my application, I would be obliged.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bauer.
Council President,
Yes.
who
Yes,
makes, who makes that appointment to the MUA? Is it the-
Council.
We do.
Can we consider that either tonight or the next meeting?
We can consider it at a later meeting, yes.
Yeah, I was just to mention, I was very impressed with his resume. I think he'd be a great addition to the MUA.
Thank you. Yes,
Malloy, Vernon resident. I'm just stating that I'm supporting Mark Bauer's application for the MUA. I think he'll be an excellent candidate.
thank you very much. Is there anyone else?
Walter Marsico. I don't have much to say tonight because there's matters that are going to be dealt with another way. But I just wanted to read something I have here. It's a shame that Harry Shortway isn't here tonight to hear it. The Internal Affairs Unit of the Department has completed its investigation of your report concerning the conduct of Officer Marsico. The investigation and a review of all information failed to disclose sufficient evidence to clearly prove or disapprove the allegation. Strike two. Yours was strike one. This one that I hold right here. You need to write something down, go ahead. Yeah, that one.
No, I need to show you the one that I got from your department that said you were found guilty.
Oh, yeah. So you're getting different mail and you're gonna put that up here in public. You should be fired right now. Anyone want to step in on him releasing information to the public in regards to a internal affairs matter that was not disclosed to me?
I have,
The attorney, you should know about that. This is a matter that was not disclosed to me, and this, I don't even know what you call him, wants to bring this up. We have a problem here now.
No, I don't think we do.
Oh, I think we do.
Okay, that's your opinion.
You're all dirty. Is it anybody want to step in here on this garbage that's going on?
my comment was at this very point, are we permitted to comment on something like this? And at this point, I feel uncomfortable because had I known this was going to take place, I would not have permitted it.
Well, he's obviously got some false information there.
I'm not going to even comment on that because the moment I start getting involved with the council is the moment we open it up, and I can't do that. Now, I can't tell you, or I can't predict what somebody is going to say. And when you asked him for something to comment about your particular situation and the findings of that internal affairs investigation, which you made public,
But don't
I
you,
thought he was going to comment on that.
don't you think I would know a little more of what's going on in my department?
Mr. Marsico, you may be, but I have no way of knowing what somebody is going to say.
Even though the attorney disagrees because he doesn't know what he's doing, to be honest with you. We do have a problem here, and he just amplified it.
I'm not going,
We'll leave it at this. You honestly need to look into getting rid of this guy, along with the mayor. Recall them, fire them, do whatever you gotta do, because they're creating a huge mess. I'm telling you, it's growing by the day. And you got some nerve. You do.
I think your comments, please address them to the council rather than,
He's got something to say, maybe he.
no, I'm asking you to please address your comments.
What would you do if somebody went to your job?
We've
You think I'm gonna be.
We've had this
I'm
discussion.
not gonna come here every meeting, and I'm not gonna bring this matter here when you got people like this attacking my job. And then you got an attorney that says, no, we don't have a problem.
Mr. Marsico,
You can't even get an email right.
I'm asking you to recognize that I have no control over what somebody is going to say if they're queried, okay?
I'm telling you.
And excuse me, and you have talked about this situation at previous meetings, and we've heard it, okay? Your comments have not gone unnoticed, but I don't know what purpose it's,
Let me tell you what the purpose is. The purpose is to make everyone aware of what people like this.
and I think you've done that previously.
Until they're gone.
Well, we've had this discussion previously, and I would ask that we,
We'll keep having it.
carry this,
We'll keep having it.
and then address your comments,
Until they're gone.
then address your comments to the council, please.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Well, I need somebody to do something about it and look into it instead of, we're talking about it all the time.
Mr. Marsico, we take what you're saying, okay? We heard everything that you've said. The council doesn't take direction from the public on how to get rid of people. That's not the way things are done. The mayor runs the town. It is up to the mayor to decide if it's going to walk anybody out the door right now. This council doesn't do that here.
At last meeting, you told me that the whole matter was under adjudication, there was litigation. Your attorney was involved. I feel uncomfortable even commenting after that comment was made because, we're now in an adversarial situation, even if we were going out to have beers later on. So to me, it's something that I just think you've made your point. I understand where you're going with this. And if in fact there is litigation planned or underway, then when our attorney is advised of it, then we'll act accordingly.
Oh, it'll be removed from it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, Mayor.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good evening. I'm Stephanie DiBrianza, Glenwood section. I just have a question. Is the document that Mr. Walter just presented, is that something that is now considered a public?
I would have to defer to the attorney, but I would think not. It's a private personnel document. And
Which you just discussed and said and accused
Yes.
Walter Marsico of being found guilty in an internal affairs investigation. How did Mr. Goldberg get that?
Let's hear it.
I'm just asking. I understand Walter's position. I understand your position regarding Walter's position, but why was that okay? And I know you said we don't know what they're gonna say,
right,
but wasn't that just in public to all of us?
Yes, sir.
right. And since there exists the possibility of potential or further litigation, I think anything further said is not in the interest of the township. Okay? I'm sitting here as a council president representing the township. And to comment otherwise, I think would be disingenuous and not in the township's best interest. I understand where you're coming from. Please try and understand what we're trying.
I believe you explained yourself very well. That's why I asked the question.
Thank you very much.
I just think that for Mr. Volker to go ahead and throw that out there, do you have a problem, Mr.?
Again, I would ask you to address
To
the,
address that outside the situation. Thank you.
thank you. Appreciate your comment.
Hi, Camilla DeResta. I just wanted to say, when someone gets up to speak at a town council meeting, I was under the impression that comments must be addressed to the council and only the council. When some residents speak, they bring in names of private citizens and often speak on issues that have no relation to the council. Reflecting the gray area that is Facebook, I would like to ask the council to ensure that their meetings do not become bully pulpits.
Thank you. Point of order. Can I ask you to please place that away? This is not a movie theater. It's a place of business. Yeah, the popcorn. Right? People may have commented about it, but you know, I can understand comments. I question the actions and the deeds. Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yeah. Did he,
I believe you had your 5 minutes, Mr.
or did you comment on the first?
Yes, definitely did.
Okay, but this is the second.
This is the second.
Yeah, he can comment. You can comment. Yeah.
Just for the record, I meant no disrespect to anybody who serves in the military. I gave my own example of my own family.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Sean.
Good evening, Len Colosi, Great Gorge Village. Mr. Rizzuto, Mr. Lynch,
Yes,
it's been a while since I've been in front of you guys. Like deja vu all over again.
right.
Any of the council members live in the sewer district? Anybody?
No.
Not even, Mike?
No,
Are any of you aware of the MUA meeting that happened last Thursday?
yes, I was there.
Yeah.
Um,
Is this going to be about the MUA, Mr. Clerk?
Absolutely. Well, it's going to be more about the residents of Great Gorge Village and how they're getting robbed by the MUA.
Oh, I think we've had this conversation previously as well. The MUA is an autonomous body that was created. I know you don't like to hear it.
No, go ahead.
But it was an autonomous, it is an autonomous body that was created by the council. And it's a standalone unit. They have their own charter, they have their own management, they have their own legal advice, and they have their own members who handle the meetings, their board of commissioners. To ask us to comment on it, you can. I don't know what I would be able to say because I wasn't there. And for me to comment on something like that would be presumptuous and not fair to the commissioners who sat there and listened to you or the other people who were at that meeting and made comments. So, you know, with that in mind, feel free. I'm not going to say you're not going to be heard. I'm only giving you those caveats.
Well, it's not entirely true that the MUA is completely autonomous because they are under the aegis of the town council and the mayor.
No, they are not.
Wait, now, I let you talk. Let me finish.
Okay.
There are other things that the town council does. They approve of MUA commissioners. They float bonds for the MUA. So it's not entirely autonomous, is it?
Yes, I consider it to be that way. Because let me give you my reasoning. If it's faulty, I'll gladly admit it. The body was created by the town council,
Correct.
okay? The commissioners were appointed by the town council.
Yes.
The necessity for funding is the responsibility of the MUA. But as with any governing body, if there is no ability to demonstrate a credit history for long-term debt financing, they're unable to do so. With that in mind, it then becomes the responsibility of the fathering agency to provide that level of assurance to the bond sellers. Okay. Now, in doing that, that doesn't necessarily mean they're not autonomous.
So does that, Mr. Rizzuto, does that mean that you shouldn't be concerned about what they do?
On the contrary, but let me give you another
Well,
example.
why would you be concerned if they're totally autonomous
Well,
and
because I'm concerned because at some point, people like yourself may come here and ask questions.
okay, well,
I haven't had the opportunity to address any of those potential
I don't know if it's more questions. Listen,
or their disapproval.
Councilman, I didn't come here to be contentious.
I don't want to be either.
Okay, no, I don't want to do that. I just don't want to go there. There's enough crazy stuff going in the world that, we don't need to do that here.
Right.
But I have to bring this to your attention. No one lives in the sewer district. Of course, we're not represented on the MUA or are on this council at all. The autonomy that you speak of, that the MUA has gone too far. And I just wanted to ask you, my only question was to you and the mayor, certainly. Were you aware of what was going on? And what is the contention that happened last Thursday? That is that the MUA has decided to change designations within Great Gorge Village, in my opinion, for a money grab. But they did this in such a way that they are now calling spaces in the condos, bedrooms, that were never designed to be spaces used as bedrooms. Now, listen, whether somebody has a futon up in their rec room or a sofa bed in their loft makes no difference. The designation isn't made by a stick of furniture. It's made by the original builder, and those plans say that those rooms are not bedrooms. Now, after pointing this out to them, I went down to the building department right down the hall, and I talked to them. And I asked them, because they're very familiar with Great Gorge Village, and I asked the inspector who was on in the office at the time, I said, are those bedrooms? And he said, I would never approve of them being bedrooms. Never. Some of them have no egress. Some of them have no walls. They don't have doors. You cannot do this. I mean, based on that logic and reasoning, the MUA could call any space a bedroom. Anyone. A kitchen could be a bedroom. Hey, you have a sofa bed in your living room. That's a bedroom. We got to have some reasonability here. And I don't think that's reasonable after all the time that since the inception of the MUA, when they went to, and they agreed, they had Craig Thompson, the property manager, and Ed Dilworth, the president. They did this 9 years ago. And that's why I said deja vu all over again. They went through it. They helped them out. They actually saved them money, because they didn't have to go to every apartment and look and see what was going on in there. So they worked with it, they all agreed, and this agreement has been going on for 9 years. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, without even being on their agenda, the MUA decides that lofts and rec rooms are bedrooms. All right, you're shaking your head. I know you know.
15 seconds. I'm just giving you an,
All right, well, you took a lot of my time.
I paused it.
she paused.
Okay, all right, good.
You got
All right,
5
thank
seconds.
you. So that's all I want to say. You got to be concerned with that. And one last thing. The sewer district is a sliver of Vernon. We are not even in the sewer district. We are way down the road. You must consider the sewer district or the sewers in the district to be part of Vernon's infrastructure. Just like the school system, just like the roads, just like the police department.
Thank
And all
you.
the departments in here, they are part of a community. And we are paying most of that price for the benefit of this entire community.
Thank you.
So please consider that.
Will do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Craig Thompson, live in Vernon. I have a property, I'm a property manager, owner of common management in the condos. And as Lenny said, I kind of want to add to what some of the things that Lenny said, trying to focus the comments to what's appropriate for you as the town council. So to try to expedite that, like you said, there was a major change in decision, even talking to the town. And I think that the issue that needs to be focused on your part is that the tax assessor has a totally different interpretation of your building department. Your building department has a totally different answer than what your MUA department has. They have made up, as they said, literally made up what are bedrooms or not bedrooms. I even pulled, just today, I was there today, pulling sample properties from the list that we generated 10 years ago, giving them the variations, trying to help them do this, which they originally decided in October of 2012. We went through the entire list, met with the township officials, MUA people, and the MUA's attorney, and said, here's all the errors. We're talking errors like a loft was considered a 3-bedroom. And we went through the list and we identified about hundreds of them. And I gave them through all of them. To this day, there are still errors from what the tax assessor has in dealing with the MUA was reporting. Case in point, there's a townhome that's rated as a 2-bedroom and has a loft. And they said, well, we considered all the loft bedrooms, but they haven't done that consistently. So it's all over the place. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but the problem is it's all over the place. Even the tax assessor doesn't agree with the determination that lofts and rec rooms should be considered bedrooms. This is not consistent. That's the first problem. The second problem.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, sure.
This, I keep getting varied answers. You've talked to a lot of your people who own units in the condos. Those units are part of the dwelling units that comprise the dwelling units within the township. When we have a reevaluation, did any of yours or most of yours or some of your units experience visits by the reval person when they are supposed to go in and physically inspect what the property and the unit is? Now, also take into mind that people sometimes get very upset when people are, especially tax people, are requesting entrance into their home and they say, I don't want you here. And they fail to understand that at that point, the evaluator, the guy who's writing the reval, has every right to write you at the highest level. So, and maybe some people said, well, I took care of that and found out later on that they're being taxed more than they should have because he was not permitted entrance. So my question is, have most of your people who own condo units there, have they had these people coming in, these reval people that the township employs? Or has it been, somewhat or very far and few between, or what?
So again, I can only speak to for what I hear. I'm sure that there's some kind of report that the town council can get to see actually how many units they got into. You're paying, I believe it's $1 million a year to the reappraisal company. And sometimes they walk in the door, from what I hear, like, so
No, this is not the,
But no, just asking.
this is not what we're doing now,
Annual revale?
the annual
Appraisal.
appraisal.
Right.
This is the reevaluation that was required. When was the last one that we did?
2019? 19.
2019. We were supposed to have had an individuals sponsored by this company, who we paid a substantial amount of money, visit and enter every home, or at least request entrance into every home, and look what happened, what was happening inside the house in terms of building construction and also around the exterior. It would seem to me that if there are questions here, much of those questions should have been caught or resolved during that time, but thank you. Okay.
No, I totally understand what you're saying, and I think that was a highly successful rate of people going in because there was 6 people there. We gave notices ahead of time. I mean, it was during business hours. People don't necessarily aren't always home.
Right.
They did accommodate with some weekend things, but it was fairly successful, I think. I think the issue is more how, whatever those efforts were, how that translated into what was entered into the tax assessor's record, that whatever magic sheet is pulled out, like I have a sample, everything else is ignored. I take one line, it's the bedroom line. And I don't think a person that's appraising the house, if they walk in and they see a loft as a couch or a bedroom, can magically change your unit or your habitation construction code unit to a 2-bedroom to a 3-bedroom. I don't know how that works with the evaluation, because then you could have 5 bedrooms and a 2-bedroom, currently constructed or approved property, but Vernon also doesn't have any habitational ordinances or things like that. It's a whole nother conversation. But how they changed it is the question, and however that records are going to the MUA and how they're deciding it is, I think, the main problem. Why they changed it after 10 years with nothing on their agenda, no discussion. I understand it's the MUA. I'm starting to see the heads roll a little bit, so I understand that. So I'm gonna get to my other points. So hopefully you pause it for.
I did.
Okay. I just want to read one statement. We were involved in other matters with you guys after you purchased the system. The crux of it, I'm just going to read this conclusion to expedite the time here, was that we had an existing system from the day the place was built, never owned by the 1,356 owners in there. It was owned by private companies. It was owned by a private company, it was sold to a public utility, sold to another public utility, then Vernon decided to buy it. It was an existing system. That existing system was then taken from you by the township, not the MUA, it didn't exist. The township decided to do it, purchase this, and use that sewer and the things they added to expand the town center, to expand allocations for other commercial properties in the town. And by doing that, created an insurmountable amount of debt that was only technically, as you said, you created this MUA, you put it on 1,700 people out of the entire town that were existing users on the system for 30 years before that. So I'm just going to read this and then I'll have one other point. Pursuant to the goals and objectives outlined in the 1995 master plan, the Township of Vernon made a significant investment to the sewer service agreement, sewer infrastructure, and SCUMA upper Wallkill treatment facility to accommodate project flows from proposed town center projects and combined of $42.1 million. The objectives for this aggressive redevelopment plan was to facilitate concentrated development following for business and tourism alternatives to become available to the township, in turn strengthen the township's tax base, a benefit for all township taxpayers. Unfortunately, due to shortfalls of economic development, these projects have not been fully constructed. The respective projections have not been realized, and the township is left with significant financial burden. Immediately upon its creation, the VTMUA incurred $6.8 million debt endorsed by the township. Additional agreements between the township and VTMUA transferred the debt service payments of the full $42.1 million burden to the VTMUA. So you say you're independent, you created the debt, pass it off to a group, and then they got to deal with it for the 75% of the town that's been on it for 30-something years.
Thank you. Your time is up.
Really?
I was also an Army veteran, so I don't think just the Air Force is the best one.
Is there anyone else here? Like, yes?
Thank you, Manny Larson. I'll be very brief. I just wanted to comment on something that's been brought up multiple times regarding what appears to be the weaponization of certain departments and officials in the township. I think the thing going on with the building officials and what Mr. Marsico is experiencing, and I know, you don't want to mention too much, but he's not the only one. Mr. Mazur mentioned it, another gentleman mentioned it. I mean, there are people who have had building inspections suddenly 8 years after a closing, 16 years after a closing, and want to close up documents. There's a statute of limitations of the IRS. If the IRS can't go that far, certainly the building department can't. So I would like to caution us that we seem to be heading down the road where people are being targeted by officials and by departments, and that needs to stop. So thank you so much.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Do we have anything?
Yes, I have Peg DeStassi.
Ms. DeStassi?
Hi, thank you. I just wanted to ask a question about the social media protocol. Have you discussed the resolution that was presented by the EDA? And if so, when is Vernon going to make a move on this? I think it is drastically needed. There's been a lot of stuff going on social media that is very questionable. Pat, I want to congratulate you on asking the questions that you asked about the Baldwin and pump track property. I agree with you. I've been over there and I've seen all the tree removal, and I have the same question as to how much is being spent and whose authorization the removal is being done by. In addition, I want to point out that I don't see any, I think I may have the terminology wrong, but the silt fencing on the property, which is supposed to be for runoff and such. I don't see any of that on that property, and I question why it isn't there. The biggest question, and I'm sorry I have so many questions tonight, but is who is actually in charge of this project? And don't tell me it's Spone Ranch, because as you just said, they showed up there today. Who's making the decisions? Who authorized the tree removal? Who has been authorizing all the DPW people to go over there and work? Who is making all the decisions on the movements on this property? I think it's time that we know who's really in charge of this project. Now, on the MUA situation, I Zoom every month, the meeting. So I've been following it for quite a while. And at this last meeting last week, the MUA is pointing the finger at the township about this change in status of rooms. And of course, I understand your point. You don't really know what's going on, but somebody's got to come up with what's going on and step in and take charge of this. Now, I understand, Pat, what you said about the assessor and such, but this all happened in the last month or so, not in the 2019 assessment. They just found, the MUA just found this new listing that they're now using and has changed everybody's status. So something's got to be done to help these people. You can't strap them. If you take the time to listen to the meeting and listen to the people and what they're saying about how they cannot afford this $300 a month quarter increase over and above what they're already paying. These people are strapped, and it's not fair what's happening to them. According to what has been disclosed, the original plan said that lofts cannot be in any way used as bedrooms and cannot be counted as bedrooms. But now, all these years later, they're coming back and charging them as bedrooms. Somebody's got to look into this. It's another situation where everybody's pointing the finger at everybody else, but nobody's taking charge. So I'm asking the council to please take the time to appoint somebody to oversee this and look into it to see that these people are treated fairly. Thank you.
Thank you. Or anyone else?
Yes, Jesse Palladini.
Mrs. Palladini?
Again, I just want to say briefly about Mr. Voker. You should have reprimanded the business administrator for calling out what he did before and called him to order. This is not directed at the 3 new council members, but shame, shame, shame on those involved for going to Officer Marsico's Internal Affairs Office over a local zoning issue. This is the man's livelihood and career. Just shame. I thought I heard you say something about popcorn in the meeting room, and I want to say that there is a sign that says no food and drink. I'd also like to point out that I'm a little bit upset to see what is being done with that curtain behind Mr. Zelinski. The Historical Society remodeled that room. We paid $3,000 for that curtain.
There you go.
Thank you.
Good job, Brian.
Okay, I want to quickly address what's going on down at the DPW dump site and the bicycle pump track. In going to Black Creek Drive today, I saw massive tree removal across the entire front of the steep property. The business administrator said it was ordered by the DEP, so I called the DEP when I got home. They said they have nothing whatsoever to do with trees and never said that the town had to do anything with trees. So is that a lie? Also, to echo what Mr. Stasi says, I saw no soil retention measures either, and we also have a shade tree ordinance. Did they follow the ordinance? So what I'd like to know is, what is being done down there? Just what is that construction? What's happening with the bicycle pump track? I was also going to ask about the payment, $1,970 to Spawn Ranch, when we have now learned we don't even own Black Creek Drive and don't even have an easement for it. Yet the mayor continues with this reckless construction. As taxpayers, we have a right to know what is really going on there. Councilman Rizzuto, I'd like to ask you to ask the mayor on the record tonight, what exactly is going on down there? We have the right to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Palladini.
Thomas McClackery.
Mr. McClackery?
Yes, good evening again. A little bit of redundancy. This is a quick point of order question to the town attorney. And it concerns passing an ordinance without opening it up to the public. And the question is, can you do that? Okay. My comment, while the attorney's figuring out what the law is on that, my comment is this, is that this whole fandango about whether a loft or a kitchen or a living room is a bedroom can be avoided and voided by simply doing the same thing that United Water did when it owned the company that you're now running. And that is to use the water meters to measure the sewer flow. Now, yes, this is done in Bergen County, Passaic County, Essex County, but I know it's up here in Sussex, so perhaps, we get some ding-dong lawyer who really doesn't know the law, give some bad advice to the MUA. And it just does not reflect whatsoever reality. Because the question would come, how could United Water use water meters, that's potable water meters, to measure flow to the sewer? As I said, you got a couple of million people in the northern half of the state being charged on that. You should be doing it here. And I'd like to say thank you to the people of Great Gorge for paying those astronomical fees that you pay when the people in, let's say, Warwick, New York, they pay $250 a year. Let me say that again, $250 a year. Meanwhile, people in Vernon Township are paying the highest fees in the entire county. And it's not even all the people, it's the people of Great Gorge. And they deserve a break. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
This will be short. I think I told you before, my name is Anita Cabrera, and I've been living here for 10 years. 10 years I've been paying MUA charges for a family of 4. I'm a single person. I met a lot of single people last week that were paying these, we're being raped. The residents of Great Gorge are being raped by the MUA. Okay, this is working now. I want to make you aware of that. When the MUA is costing me $100 short of a Social Security month payment. I'm just giving it to the MUA. Why? I have a low water bill. I live by myself. This is absolutely unacceptable. It really is. But I'm not the only one. I have other people that were single and living there, and then they wanted, still want to charge another $350 for that. Red room? Are you kidding? It's open. You can hear everything that's said downstairs when you're right upstairs. That's not a bedroom. That could never be a bedroom. I mean, there's no soundproofing. Everything is open. It's ridiculous. But I want you to be aware how much a lot of us are paying. And it's unreal. It's really terrible. So that's all I want to say. Just making you aware. Maybe you can help us in some way. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else?
Yes, Sean Mazar.
Mr. Mazar?
Good evening again. Can you hear me?
Good evening. Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, couple things I want to touch on. First is, some time ago, the Historic Preservation Commission was abolished. And, it's a sad thing that was done. If you, unfortunately, and fortunately, on both sides of the coin, this is referenced in the master plan of the township. And it was awful negligent on the township planner, Jessica, to avoid updating it or even mentioning it in her update. I mean, the Historic Preservation Commission is not just a board of volunteers, that just kind of gets together and talks about history. I mean, it's important because it's part of the master plan. And they were funded, there was such little funding, it was really a travesty. And I urge this council to put this back on the agenda and reestablish the Historic Preservation Commission. With that being said, I'm also touching again on the vacant and abandoned property ordinance. And I'm just perplexed that we have such an eyesore as the old Playboy Club. And it's none of those units, which has condos in there that are deeded, are being assessed vacant and abandoned property fees. But yet you come after me and you come after some of my friends. Craig Thompson's here tonight. And Craig has a property in which he's being assessed similar fees. I have several friends, including family, who have been assessed these fees. And you're scaring away people from investing in the township and remodeling these homes. And even the bill writers of the bill stated this bill was not intended to punish homeowners who purchase properties, pay the taxes, and begin remodeling these homes. I mean, this is crushing the American dream. It's ridiculous. And to touch base on what Peg DeStasio said, there are no soil erosion control measures in place at the pump track. You're dumping asphalt shavings, which we all know what they're full of, and it's going down into the wetlands. I mean, come on. I mean, this is a huge excavated site. There's not a single silt fence there. I mean, it's ridiculous. And I also wanted to touch base back on, we have an architectural gem with the old Indian Trading Post. And I've gone through some old documentation and seen that this has been nominated a few different times. This property dates back to 1760. It's not memorialized, it's not protected, there's no Historic Preservation Commission at all again. Mr. Shortway took it upon himself to wage a war against Miss Palladini, not because he hated history, but because he does not like Miss Palladini because of the whole FBI investigation and such. The township, we have a good town. We have good people that mean well in it. And we have some people in the zoning and building departments that are underqualified. I recently came across the resume of Allison LaRocca, in which her qualifications were she knew CPR, first aid, and she had 5 years of email and internet experience. That was the only qualifications that she had to be the zoning official. Recently, in a little guard shack remodel that was hit by a truck, I proposed putting a dummy dormer on the roof of it, in which it was only 3 by 4 foot, and she denied me because she said it had to go before the land use board as it was increasing the size. She did not understand that a roof is not an increase of the size of the structure. You cannot habitat a 3 by 4 dummy dormer. And she refused to give a denial letter. This type of actions are the reason why developers avoid the town. And which is ridiculous. I mean, there was also property, this DPW site and the Baldwin site were in the sewer service areas. All sorts of shenanigans, removed them and said they were never there, and there's no sewer service, there's bobcats, there's all sorts of nonsense. Meanwhile, the pipe runs right down past the property.
30 seconds.
This type of stuff, if it's never going to stop.
Mr. Mazur, 30 seconds.
No developers are ever going to come to the town, and we're never going to increase any sewer service ratables. Thank you.
Thank you.
I have Sherry.
Sherry?
Yes. Sherry?
Is there anyone else?
Yes, I have Pamela Owen Samatsko.
Pamela? Anyone else?
No.
No? Seeing there is no one else coming forward, I'll ask for a motion to
I'll make that motion.
close the meeting to the public. Is there a second?
Second it.
Second by Mrs. Bucieri. Roll call, please.
Vice President Bucieri,
Yes.
Councilmember Fury,
Yes.
Councilmember Lynch.
Yes.
Council President Rizzuto.
Yes,
Motion carries.
thank you.
Council President,
Yes, sir.
I, in error on resolution 22-109. I'm supposed to abstain from that, and I voted for it. Can I ask for a revote on that, please? Resolution 22-109.
The Campbell Supply Company?
Yes.
Will clerk, what was the outcome on the vote?
It was 4 votes, yes.
4 votes, yes?
Yes.
I need to change my vote to
Abstain.
Since it's,
abstain.
yes, okay,
Okay?
fine. Since it's before the evening is closed, I'll allow the change.
Thank you, Council President. That is because I am a firefighter here in Vernon, in Highland Lakes rather. And I'm precluded from voting on anything that has anything to do with the fire department.
Council comments. Mr. Lynch?
Thank you. I am very proud to have been elected to the town council and I am very happy to be up here and to be able to solve some of the problems that happen while we're on the council. The one thing that we are not are judges for Facebook. I didn't get elected to be a judge to say what you can say and what you can't say. I don't think any elected official would ever step into the fray and try to tell somebody what they can say and what they can't say. And if he does, please let me know, because I'll get my own popcorn and come and watch that. I am very, very happy that we have volunteers in this town, such as the fire department that's here, the rec department that we have, the other departments in town, the EMS. They are the equity of a township. Any township that runs that has these volunteers has to view them as an equity, because without them, we are nothing. So thank you for what you do. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Fury?
Yes, thank you, Council President. I want to just mention, on a positive note, I'm happy to be a part of the council to vote on a 0% increase in taxes. I think we all worked tirelessly. I think we looked at all the budget very carefully, contrary to maybe what some people have said. We took a very close look at it and seriously considered everything, and I'm proud of the fact that we were able to do that. I was on the MUA meeting the other night, and there was a lot of people who came to speak. I have to admit that I hear what they have to say, and the MUA seriously considered everyone's comments, and they're taking it very seriously, and they're discussing it, and they're looking into a long-term resolution. They're going to look at every angle. They're forming new committees to look at meters. I think they're doing an excellent job, and should be commended for that. And as a council member and a former chair of the MUA, I promise to all the MUA ratepayers, I'm going to stay close to this, and I'm going to look into their concerns and take their concerns seriously and try to help resolve some of the long-term issues. The only other question I have for we heard about the pump track. Mayor and Chuck, is there an update on the trail? Can you provide some sort of like a brief update on what's going on with the trail?
It'll be started next month. I don't have an exact date.
So they're going to mobilize sometime in May?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's it. Thank you very much. That's all my comments for tonight.
Thank you, Mr. Fury. Ms. Bucieri?
Thanks. I do have a couple comments. I just want to reiterate what Mike said. I'm glad to hear that the MUA is looking into a lot of different options. It is a very important issue that I'm sure all the council members agree it needs to be addressed, needs to be resolved. So we hear the concerns from those that are affected by that. So I'm glad that the MUA is doing their due diligence. Very pleased to pass my first budget as a council member. Very pleased that we were able to work with the administration and have no increases this year. So I think, I commend them for that, and my fellow council members, all the department heads that worked. So I definitely I'm glad that we're able to do that today. Very proud of all the volunteers in our community, the rec department, our emergency and fire volunteers, athletic teams, even, not even government sanctioned or organized, with churches and different other communities, just a lot of great volunteers in our community. I've taken part in a lot of the rec department activities myself, and my children have, so we've definitely benefited from them, and I appreciate that. I'm going to echo what Mr. Lynch said. We're not refereeing Facebook. That's not the council's purview. So I try to stay out of that. Same with public comments. I feel strongly we have the ability to exercise our right to free speech. And we have some parameters on our first public comment that it would be regarding the agenda. Obviously, there's other things that we might not want to discuss in public, but as far as limiting how those respond and make comments, I don't think that's my purview either. I would not want to limit what a fellow American can say in public. And I'm glad that we did approve we were missing one council member tonight, but 4 of us unanimously approved a special investigator into the issue regarding the sale of that township property. It is an important issue, and it's important to have I believe, a nonpartisan, fresh set of eyes looking into that matter. So I'm glad that we were able to do that tonight. And those are my comments.
Thank you. This evening, I heard our mayor take the council to task because they did not accept, as he said, his investigation of why and what happened with the sale of that particular piece of property. And he took us to task because of the fact that he said we were going to be expending $10,000 of funds by appointing an independent counsel. I find that kind of ludicrous when, in fact, that particular expenditure could have been avoided had the council not found it necessary to step in and provide and require an independent investigation as allowed by our particular form of government. If you recall last month, I gave a rather lengthy comments on what I felt about our form of government. And I'm not going to go through it again, but it is what it is. And now at this time, we find it necessary to take advantage of what that form of government allows us. That is not to say that what we are doing in any way is prejudice, in any way council has come to a decision. Quite the contrary. It simply says we need a fresh set of eyes, as Mrs. Bucieri said, for an independent investigator to look over this problem and report back to the council. The one thing I noticed during this whole situation was that the public was very upset. It needed some type of assurances, and I wasn't able to give it to them. And as council president or my fellow council members, we weren't. And it should be noted that this particular vote on finding a retaining counsel for this investigation was a 4-0 vote. And I believe had our missing council member been here, it would have been 5-0. I don't think I'm speaking out of school in mentioning that. So perhaps the mayor might want to be a little more circumspect in his comments rather than pulling out his mighty pen to come down on the council when they are merely exercising that particular responsibility that has been afforded them. Thank you. Now I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Mr. Lynch. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Seconded by Mrs. Bucieri. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting adjourned.
Chuck.